Horror Hour.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Get you.
You are undoubtedly.
Here's Johnny.
All right. Well, hello and welcome to the Horror Hour, a place we discuss, we debate, we disagree on all things horror. And I'm one of the co-hosts here, Yutaka. But today I'm really excited because if you haven't heard, I've been just praising Terrifier 2 like crazy. And I looked out and we have the freaking cast. We have the family here. We've got Elliott Fullam.
Hi.
Sarah Voight.
Yeah.
And Lauren LaVera.
Yeah.
And then we have the man who wears just like way too many hats, editing, makeup, or FX, all, writer, director. We got Damien Leone. How are you?
I'm good. What's up, everybody? Good to be here.
Is up.
So first off, I kind of want to start because we were talking a little bit before, but it's been really awesome just to see the response just from other, because Sarah brought this up, other horror directors. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are on some of these incredible, like, just praise that you all are receiving. So I'll start with you, Damien.
It's incredible validation, honestly. I mean, listen, when Stephen King tweeted to us he is literally the master of horror. So you can't get any bigger than that. You can't get any more validation. I mean, this guy's responsible for 20 plus of, my favorite horror movies. Not even horror movies. You're talking like Stand By Me, Shawshank Redemption. I mean, it's Stephen fucking King. So that was insane. That was very surreal. And that sort of really opened my eyes to how big this impact was. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. And now Mike Flanagan literally tweeted us yesterday.
How do you feel about that, Lauren? Gave you some high praise.
I cried about it a little bit for like 2 minutes. I let myself cry because I had a really busy day yesterday, but I cried a little bit and I was like, okay. But like Damien said, it was just like incredible validation because we like literally killed ourselves trying to get that film done. And it just feels like, okay, I feel like our hard work is definitely paying off.
I mean, again, I've seen it way too many times. I should probably see somebody about that. But I mean, the critical praise, the audience, but my favorite thing, the box office. It's proving that indie horror, I mean, can make an impact. How does that feel for you all as a collective? I'm just curious to see that everybody's just been so receptive to this film.
Honestly, do you want anyone?
I'll start with you, Elliott. How about that?
Honestly, it's just been so surreal. I mean, I already saw the movie 6 times as a fan, and I sometimes forget that I'm in Terrifier 2. I'm like, wow, this is such an awesome film. All these talented people. I'm like, wait, that's me on the screen. It's just so wonderful just to see all the fans that actually really like it and to work with like Damien, Lauren, Sarah, David. It was just such a wonderful experience.
And then, I mean, Sarah, everybody's loving Barb. I mean, in the beginning, I was like, I don't know. But after I've watched it so many times, she's got some of the best fucking lines.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to thank Damien for that. I mean, obviously. No, Barb was a blast to play. I mean, we would just say that she's a hot mess.
Yeah.
I mean, poor thing. She's really just on the edge all the time. And like, somebody just DM'd me and they were like, when you smacked Lauren on the back of the head, I knew you were going to be great. And I was like,
that is so true. I was like, oh my gosh, that makes me think of me growing up. Like, because I have a twin and we'd always get into trouble and like our parents would be like, stop it. So I was like, oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah. So that's basically Barb right there. We love her.
I would have to, that was the only thing, Sarah, that I would have to push you a little further to be as bitchy as possible.
You did. You did.
You're like, are you sure? Really? Jesus Christ. Okay. That
It's so
more?
No, you can't possibly really want me to be like that and be like, yeah, don't be nice. Just get rid of your niceness. Go be Barb. And I'll be like, all
Yeah.
right, here we go.
I keep thinking of After the Fire, and Elliott, you're like, I still have to go to school, and then your response, yeah, that was, again, when you guys come together as a collective unit, I was also not expecting so much comedy, but I also was not expecting the heart that was there.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that.
Yeah, one thing
Oh, go ahead.
But do you, Damien? You can talk if you want. I'm sorry.
Oh no! I listen. I have a lot to say. There was the whole family dynamic is very autobiographical. I mean, that scene you were just. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, so I had a single mother raising me and two older sisters, and both of my older sisters, their personality is very much injected into Sienna. There's a little bit of me in Sienna with her being an artist. I mean, I am very much Jonathan growing up, just like obviously obsessed with horror, fascinated by real life serial killers and things like that. So it was really important. I mean, and that comedy, naturally comes out of those situations as it did in my own life. That scene after the fire when Barb is totally chewing out Sienna, that literally happened to me between me and my mother because I was doing makeup in the middle of the night. Everybody's sleeping. It's a school night, and I'm melting clay on the stove to make a clay head, something like that. And I didn't know at the time you're not supposed to melt sulfur-based clay. So as soon as you melt that clay, just like this yellow smoke emits, it just goes all over the house like I'm setting the smoke alarm off the entire house. My mother comes storming out of the bedroom. It's 3:00 in the morning, and she goes nuts. And she literally says that line. She's like, "You're gonna fucking kill us one day."
I had no idea.
Oh my God, I love this.
Yeah, so that was very real. So I tried to, this was like the most vulnerable I ever was as a screenwriter, and I wanted to put as many real life situations into the movie, and I knew that would pay off because the audience would be able to tell that it was genuine, that authenticity, and they'd really be invested with these characters when I really threw them in the pits of hell and despair at the end of the movie.
I mean, I loved that, but we'll get to that too. So Elliott, well, I loved Jonathan because, myself too, growing up, I love horror. I think horror is just a great platform. It's a great way that you can just express yourself, but also kind of delve into deeper emotions. And so I really liked your character, even though, yeah, he was a little maybe too obsessed with serial killers. But again, you weren't harming anybody. You actually turned out to be one of the nicest people. How was that?
Well, like Damien said, he sees a lot of himself in Jonathan. I see that too. I also see a lot of myself in Jonathan too, as well. I mean, I'm a horror fan. I grew up watching all the classic horror movies, and a lot of the posters that are on the walls, like the metal posters. You can see one right here, actually, just a little bit of the bottom of it. Wait, there you go. This one. I'm pretty sure that one's in the movie. A lot of those posters are the same posters that are in my bedroom. And I just thought that was really cool. And I, like you said, I really like that dynamic, how he's obsessed with all this horror, whatever, but he just seemed to be like this really genuine, kind dude. I like that. And it just goes to show how great of a writer Damien is. Like you mentioned just a little bit before, how there's there's little bits of comedy throughout the entire film, right? And that contrast between having fun and laughing, and then Art the Clown torturing and killing this crazy practical gore. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie.
I mean, I would also agree. So I'm curious then, Lauren, how much did you have to train when it came to doing these sequences?
Well, I mean, I teach kickboxing almost every morning, and I was doing it then too. But the difference was I started taking more kickboxing classes, just so I could feel like more limber and ready to go. But I don't know. I train a lot, so it didn't really feel like too far out of my reach. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It felt like not easy. It definitely wasn't easy, but it felt like, oh, I'm ready to go. I'm ready for this. I've been doing this my entire life. Let's fucking go. So yeah, I don't know. I was just ready. Let's do it again.
Lauren's a natural at fighting off killer clowns.
That's it.
I mean, another thing I think everybody is wanting to see is another one, of course, because we just love this universe and this. Honestly, it's art is a horror icon, in my opinion. You could see my little art with poopy hands from Tales from the Stitch right back there, because I was like, the art's just amazing. But you all encountered art in a different way. And I'm curious, when you had each of those scenes, how it is to play off of David, who's just so charismatic, but also, I mean, doesn't say anything. And I think that's incredible as an actor. So I'll start with you, Sarah.
He's amazing. He's just so nice, which is wild because he plays this like demented monster, but he's just so nice. And I mean, in the scene where I come back as I am still Barb, but I come back and see Sienna at the end, Dave was there coaching me behind the camera. Oh, wow. And like helping me get along. And it's so hard what he does. And I have such an appreciation for him and his work as art, because it's not easy, being a crazed killer clown, it's hard to say.
I mean, he makes it look easy, that's for sure.
Yeah. So that was like one of my first encounters with Dave, and yeah, he's just so cool.
So how about you, Lauren, with your first scene with Dave? What was that like?
I don't remember what my first scene with Dave was. I really don't remember, but I already knew Dave because Damien and Dave and I all went to Outback Steakhouse after I was cast, just to like talk about the script, talk about the characters. It was like such a wonderful memory that I often refer to. So I already knew Dave as a person, but he's definitely very different in Damien's getup. Like, I don't know, once the prosthetics alone are just horrifying. And then when Dave starts to like embody the character and he starts to manipulate his body, I'm like, holy shit, this guy is he's horrifying looking. And I mean, he's just an incredible performer as well. And one thing that I really love about Dave is I feel like he's just really loose and ready to give something new each take. So there was a lot of improvising, and it was really easy to react to that because it felt new each time.
I love that. And then Elliott, also Damien, why was Art eating Jonathan? I loved it, but I was just like, what the hell is going on here?
Why not?
Art was hungry.
I think that's the most primal, horrifying thing you could do to somebody is eat them alive. So I like when he's reduced to that at the end of everything. It just comes down to eating another human being while they're alive. That's why he wanted him to be awake. That's why he kept trying to wake him up, because he wanted him to be alive while he was doing it.
That did make me laugh, though. So how long does it take to get or put David in that setup?
It depends. It used to take a long time. It would take well over 2 hours, but I was using a different material. I was using a gelatin appliance, which was a lot trickier to glue on his face. Plus, I'm like always doing like 3 other things while I'm making him up. So I'm going and setting up the shots and talking to George, the cinematographer, maybe like blocking some things with the actors in between. So depends. But now I've changed the material, and if it's pre-painted and I'm like just focused solely on that, I could do it in like an hour now, which is great. Yeah.
That's probably the other thing that I think everyone, myself included, though, the practical effects in this film are just, I'm going to fan out, but they're just like next level. It was so, it made me think of The Thing, and you were just brutal. So let's talk about, we're going to talk spoilers, when you killed Barb.
I know, I didn't want to.
Who shot me? I can't remember. Who actually shot Barb's head? Was it you?
No, it was Rob. I don't even know if you know Rob.
Somebody took Barb out back and was like,
Oh my goodness, that was
Listen,
uh,
I love Barb so much that I knew, this is funny. I don't know if you know this either, Sarah. When I wrote the script and I sent it to Phil, and that scene, that was always the scene in the movie, just like you see it now. I mean, that was how it was written in the script, where everybody else, Art really takes his time and the kill scenes become this, 3-minute long or whatever, however
mhm.
long set piece. And Barb gets taken out just like that. And I remember Phil reading it and saying, like, really? He's like, everybody else is like, shouldn't she be tortured or something? Or. And I said, no. I said, like, we have to really flip it here. And this is going to be really shocking and fast and jarring. And because it's unlike anything else you've seen in the movie leading up to this point. Plus, I loved her character so much that I really didn't want her to suffer physically anymore as much as the other characters do. Yeah, there was a bit of mercy there. Honestly.
You just mauled her when she was dead and gone, shoving potatoes down her throat. But we're okay. We're good.
So many. I did have a friend who was like, "Can you just let Damien know I'm never going to eat mashed potatoes ever again?"
Listen, I got to be honest. I thought that was a cool little disgusting thing to do. An added layer of just sadistic. Him just shoving the mashed potatoes in her face. Doing that to her son. When it can't get any worse, he just sort of desecrates her body a little more. But I didn't know it was going to have that reaction, honestly, where it's like became people's favorite scene in the movie, and they're making memes and things like that. So that's
I love the fact that we got to see a domesticated Art. When he came out in the apron, I lost it. I go, they are not. And just the little bell, I go, oh, damn, this is, again, there are so many things that I remember Terrifier. I knew what to expect, but you kept throwing me off my game because I was like, oh shit, this is funny. But I was like, oh God, I care about these characters. But yeah. I am very happy that Sienna and Barb got some closure, because that's one of my favorite scenes, because it also broke my heart. And then I was like, Damien, I'm coming for you. Letting you know.
Yeah. Well, you guys could talk about that too, but I just got to say, again, that was so important to me because I love the characters so much, and it's important for me to know where they end off with each other. Like even the last time they see each other in person, it's a nice moment between the two of them. And then over the phone, like that was just building up and building this whole movie. There's so much tension between them, and they never say that word to one another, that they love one another. So it was so important to finally hear them say that. And Sarah, like your reaction when she says that is just fucking stunning. Is absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
No, for real. And people don't realize once you're in the movie and I'm cutting between you and Lauren, I mean, you feel the emotion, but in reality, she's talking to her angle. She's talking to Phil, my producer.
I was talking to Phil.
You know what I mean? And she has to deliver that performance, and it's it's not easy. So, and it's beautiful. I mean, both of you murdered that scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie.
You did. I mean, how was it though? When you saw that scene come together, both? I'll start with you, Lauren.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite scenes, and it's like a gift as an actor in a horror film to even have a scene like that, because you're like, oh, okay, I can inject some humanity into this character and some emotion. It was just, I was really pleased with the range I was given for Sienna. When I saw it, I think I even saw like on the monitor some footage of it that day, and I think it was the same footage that ended up in the scene. So it was just like, it's finally together. Like, I'm so happy to finally see this, because like I was feeling it in the moment, and I was happy that I got to actually be with Sarah, because it's true. Like when we're on the phone, I don't remember who I was talking to. I wasn't talking to Sarah.
You're on Molly.
Right?
You're talking to Mike. You were talking to Mike Levy.
Yeah, so I'm talking to Mike, telling him I love him. And so yeah, I was just really pleased with how it turned out. I was really pleased.
And I mean, Sarah, like that made me think of almost every parent who that's all they want to hear sometimes from their kid. And the way that you just reacted to that, again, this is why, like, it hits me in the heart when you just, Damien, you ripped my heart out after that. But that scene, Sarah, how was it to do that?
It was great. And I mean, I think it was my last day of filming. when we shot that.
Yeah.
So I think there was just a lot there. And it was Barb's demise, Jay. And it was like, you know, there was a lot going on. And so I felt like it was just, you know, just representative of where I was at that moment. So
Okay.
feeling it, all the feels.
All the feels.
I mean, all three of these actors were just seriously incredible. And that's one of the big takeaways when you just read what people are saying about this film, is that the acting is on another level. And it really is. And I couldn't be prouder of you guys. It's one of my favorite parts of this movie. And seriously, like when I'm casting, I'm really just trying to find people who I think are just going to knock it out of the park, and then I could really get out of their way and try not to micromanage and let them do their thing. I mean, that's their job. That's what they're bringing to the table. I mean, I'm there to help. I mean, like there's little things like with Sarah, like my little thing with her was just, you know, bring up the energy. Like that was like in some situations. But like she just comes and does her thing. Like I'm sitting back and I'm at the monitor and I'm watching all them, and I'm just all of a sudden an audience member, and I'm just loving what they're giving me, and I get to experience that. I have so many other things to worry about. So when I could just have these amazing actors come in and do their thing, it's one of the most beautiful things to experience, honestly. It really is.
Well, we couldn't ask for a better director.
Very true.
Thank you.
I was not expecting to come to this film and see somewhat of a family drama. That dynamic and like you said, the acting, it really, I think that's one of the there's so many great things about this film, but that's something I think caught everybody off guard. And I think that says why it's so successful is because it's more than just a typical slasher, which I still love, or even, you know, I'm a gore horror. I love all the gore. Just give me all that gore. That's amazing. But you all turned out these performances that were just incredible. I mean, you know, to see Jonathan and Sienna's relationship, you two, it made me think of my own twin when you all were arguing, or when you had that heart to heart. But what I'd love to know then too is because there were so many, well, there were two great chase scenes, but what was it like though, going through that when it was obviously Jonathan and Sienna? So I'll start with you, Elliott.
Well, Lauren has always been so supportive and has always treated me like a sibling. So we're technically, I would say we are siblings from another lifetime. So, and it was just wonderful just acting with Lauren because she's such a great actress. And I like to feed off of other people's energy. And you can really, really tell that Lauren is super talented, like you said, and like I just said before. And I feel like she kind of improved me a little bit, just being there with her and acting with her.
Yeah, I mean, Lauren, how was that for you? I know you have to go, so I have one more thing to say, but.
Oh yeah, no, I so easy to work with Elliott. He's just so genuine. He works so hard, and a lot of acting is reacting. So a lot of what I was doing was just reacting to his acting. And I think Elliott is fantastic, and he's such a young actor. So like to see that kind of commitment, to see that kind of talent in such a young person, it's really inspiring. Like I constantly would tell him on set, like, at your age, dude, I just wouldn't. So I love working with Elliott, and I think we are long lost siblings.
I love
Appreciate
that.
the love, big sis.
Yes.
Before you go, Lauren, I will say, and this also goes to Damien as well. This film, especially, I would say within the queer community, we fucking love it. It really, like, there are some of us who may call art a daddy, and I know that's sick, but whatever. And you know, but you gave us this final girl, Sienna, who not only did she get to whoop ass, she got to look fucking damn good. And you just gave us something that we've, you know, I love a good final girl, but it's new talent in a sense, but we also just got, I don't even know how to explain it, but the gays, we love it. Like I was in the theater, and thank God it wasn't a full theater, because I was like, yeah. I was having so much fun with the final act of the film. So I had to say that just to let you know.
That's it. I love hearing that because I have a lot of gay tendencies and like half of my family's gay. So that's a great compliment. I love that. I mean, it's got to work its way in there somehow. I mean, I'm glad that it's there.
It was so good. Like also you had a great chase scene too. But yeah, whooping up on Art, Lauren, that just made me so happy. But again, I just want to say thank you for joining, Lauren. I know you have to go, but I did also want, we're going to be sitting down with Dolly next week from season 4 of Dracula.
Oh my God. Could you like say hi for me?
Yes.
Be like, Lauren LaVera loves your work. Yeah, before I go, I will say like I love these people so much. Thank you for inviting me. Like Sarah is like, I think I even mentioned it in my past interview, like was literally dying in my scenes with her. Like she couldn't look at me because I was crying, laughing at her performance. Like she had to like, she was like, hold this up. And she gave me like a piece of paper as she was like delivering her lines. And I was just like delivering my lines like this because I was crying, laughing. And I hope that Damien has footage of that because
it happens a lot.
I'm so happy because I want to share that with the world because like it's just so easy to work with these actors, and I know I've already spoken about Elliott, like just a phenomenon of a young actor. Like his career is just gonna whoop, like right to the stars. And of course, like Damien, my love, Damien, like just like I'm just so incredibly grateful for his talent and his understanding and his creativity and for him being always so innovative and amazing. But anyway, thank you so much for having me and please invite me back. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and yeah, bye.
Def will.
Dude,
Bye.
see ya. Bye.
Hi, Lauren.
So,
What a jerk.
so David, I do have to ask though, because another thing, I love that this was just so much different than Terrifier, the first one, which I loved because that's when I think Art was more twisted, whereas this one I fell in love because the comedy, I was just blown away. But the practical effects, can we just talk about how much time and effort you put in to some of these kills and just the bedroom kill that I didn't think you were going to outdo the kill from Terrifier. And then I saw that and I was like, damn.
Yeah. That's the one, huh?
I was like, that's so cool. I mean, again, but it just looks so great. How long did it take you to do that?
Yeah, that one in particular, I think me and again, it's really only just me doing this and my producer, Phil, who's not a makeup artist, but he wanted to learn on the set of Terrifier 1. And he was just by my side, mixing silicone, helping me make molds and things like that. And he got pretty good. And he's just always there helping me build all these things. And we turned his basement into our workshop for however many years this movie took. But that scene in particular, obviously, we knew going into this, Terrifier 1, whoever comes up to me and David at con or somebody, they mention Terrifier, they mention Art the Clown, they mention the hacksaw scene. And we knew now we have this notorious kill scene, and how are we going to at least rival that, come somewhere close. So I wrote this scene in particular, and then we started shooting it. We had an issue with another makeup team because for the first time ever, I looked at this script and I said, this is ridiculously ambitious. There's no way I'm going to be able to build all these effects. So I want to hire somebody else for the first time to maybe take like 40% of the burden off or something like that. And they wound up bailing out like a month and a half or so before we started shooting because they couldn't come to terms with the budget that we agreed on.
Sure.
And so we were, I mean, it is what it is. But now we were stuck with, oh my God, we have like half of the effects aren't prepared. Like, what are we going to do? Do we postpone? And Phil said, look, we just got to jump in. We got to start shooting or this movie will never get made. We'll figure it out as we go. So this movie was a lot of stop and go. We'd get to a point and we'd be like, all right, a kill scene's coming up. We have nothing ready. We have to break for a week or two, build these effects going and shoot them. So we actually started shooting the alley kill scene. And I only had a few things prepped. and they were not coming out good at all. And I'm just sitting there on the day, like looking at the monitor, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, this is nowhere even close to the hacksaw scene. I'm like, this is not gonna deliver the goods. This is not gonna live up to people's expectations. And then we got hit with COVID and the lockdown. And I said, I'm gonna take full advantage of this, and I'm gonna reconfigure this whole kill scene. We have all this time. I'm gonna start from scratch and build all these horrific moments and all these disgusting practical effects. And you know, I called Phil, I told him, and he said, listen, let's do it, let's get to work. And we started building all those pieces. And it wound up, when we finally were able to go back and shoot, it took about 5 days, 5 whole days just to shoot that little sequence, because these effects take forever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just scalping Casey took 1 whole day just to do that little portion right there. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. I think the eye slice, that whole thing was just 1 day, just getting that, you know. So stuff takes a long time. But we knew, I mean, that's the movie. We knew at some level we had to deliver those goods. See, everything else is, you know, fleshing it out, because that stuff, to me, believe it or not, gets very boring. That's not what excites me about my own slashers anymore. Like, when it's time to walk the walk, I'm going to make sure I deliver the goods and I give you the sickest scene I could possibly think of. But I'm more interested in this family dynamic now, honestly, making this movie. I was way more interested in the relationship between them, in Sienna, her sort of divine journey, like her counterpart's counterpart. That was the stuff that really excited me about this movie, because if you don't have that, all those kill scenes, all that gore is just going to get very, very boring and stale, and you need the substance in order to amplify it. So that's where I was coming from. But I mean, of course, the gore was super important, and without that gore, I don't think Terrifier would be making the waves and the splash that it's making. It's like that enables people to get in the door and then discover all this really good stuff going on beneath the surface of the gore. But, you know, people fainting and passing out and throwing up, I mean, that's what's going to get people their eyes in front of it.
I mean, I'm so happy to see that. I mean, that's terrible, but you know, like the last time that happened was the original Exorcist. And so it's kind of cool that, I know it sounds weird, but that we have a moment now for this day and age that we can say, yeah, no, there's a movie that really did a number on some people. And I think it was also ambitious to have almost 2.5 hour film, even though by the end of it, I was like, I want more.
Yeah, that's great.
I had a great time, but I had a great time with the characters. I mean, Elliott, what was it like though? The other thing I do like about your character is just kind of also, you got to interact with some, I would say, like a horror icon. It was just a quick scene, but what was that like talking with Felissa Rose?
Oh, that was awesome. That day on set, it was wonderful. I love filming that scene. And it was just a wonderful day. That was like one of my first days on set. I'm pretty sure it was either like my first or like second day. I remember those school scenes. It was wonderful. She was so kind. She treated us with so much respect, and it was just a blast. It was just a blast to work with her.
How was it then to just, you had mentioned the budget, but I thought it was pretty impressive that this was crowdfunded. Yeah. And I mean, again, it's making waves at the box office. And whether or not anything happens from this, I love the fact that even if it's somebody's monitoring their Twitter handle, that this was submitted to the Oscars. I'm like, that's weird. Amazing.
More ridiculous.
I love it. It just makes the movie even better. I was like, yeah, I could see that happening. That's great.
Well, listen, I think that there's some amazing performances in this. Listen, I would put them up there. Give them the fucking award. That's what I'm saying. And why not? People love, they're talking about, listen, there's no chance this movie's getting nominated for an Oscar. We know it's a joke. We know it's a goof, but
still, it's great.
It's great. But we know it is cool that people do especially love, the performances, and they love the gore so much. And there's conversations like, practical effects don't get the love they deserve for slasher movies as much as they should. So I just like that conversation is happening, because Listen, there are makeup artists who are 1,000 times more talented than I am that work on these slasher movies, and the quality is just stunning. And because the experience of a slasher movie and the gore is so visceral that people, they don't think about the artistry that goes into it and what makes it so impactful. So they do deserve a lot more credit than they get.
I completely agree. Oh, go ahead.
I honestly think that special effects and your practical effects were so good to the point it made a lasting impression on people, like walking out of those theaters. I've seen the movie 6 times and still watching those kill scenes with the gore and the practical effects, it still gets me. And I was in the movie. I watched you do it, and it's still like, even just simple stuff was like breaking the arm, and it got like, ah. So I mean, honestly, I think if anything gets an award, I think practical effects and your special effects deserves it. And you're so talented as a director. You even edited the movie, and just to do the practical effects alone, it just shows how wonderfully talented you are. So I think your special effects deserves an award.
So sweet.
I would agree. And also I have to, because I just saw it was on vinyl, so I immediately purchased one as well. That soundtrack, that score, that took me back. Like, I was like, put me in 80s heaven, synth, everything. That was Paul Wiley, I believe?
Paul Wiley. He's been working on me for my last 2 or 3 movies at this point. He's amazing. He gets it. I'll just give him little pieces of information regarding a scene. Like, I want it to kind of sound like this. I want this vibe. We have a little conversation. He goes off and he delivers these incredible tracks. But obviously, I'm obsessed with the 80s, way before it was. Now it's very popular, this resurgence of nostalgia, and everything takes place in the 80s. But I would have been making 80s themed movies for forever if I had the budget and the ability to do so. But now I got my chance to do it. But I love that vibe. It's so important. And I love sort of the modern synth wave where it's modern, but it's retro. And I thought that was so important for the vibe I wanted to give off with Sienna's character. I thought that would really paint the atmosphere well for that character. And yeah, just giving him, like, I want it to sound like sort of John Carpenter feel and all these kind of things. So I'm glad a lot of people have been, talking about how much they love the score and the songs that were chosen. So that's really cool.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. I guess then what I'd like to know, obviously this is just doing so well. Hopefully we do get to see Terrifier 3. I don't know if you can officially say that, whatnot, but I'm hoping also that maybe studios will take notice and we get an even crazier art. Well, maybe not crazier, because well, no, I it grossed me out. Like, if I pass out in theater, that would be one of the best. That would tell me I'm like, I had a good damn time.
We're gonna have to go crazier. It's gonna have to be crazier than mashed potatoes. So I'll tell you that.
I'm just wondering how many people are gonna come up to you at the cons with like a thing of mashed potatoes.
Like, here's my question. So, Sarah, you realize this Thanksgiving is going to be really interesting for you, right?
My mother has already started trolling me. It's just nuts. Like, she daily trolls me about mashed potatoes. My mother.
I love that. Oh my god.
She's like, I think my mom is the biggest fan of this movie. I really do. More than Elliott.
Wow.
Hey. I think.
What does she think? I never heard any of that. Give me some feedback. What did she say?
She live tweets it. Well, she live messages to me every time she's watched it. She's seen it like 5 times now. And I started posting her reactions because they're hysterical. She literally breaks down every scene, and I'm like, she freaking loved this movie. She dragged my dad, who had not been to the cinema in probably 35 years, to see this. That's awesome. She loved it.
That is amazing.
Now she sends me like potato emojis just for fun. You're great.
That's my favorite takeaway, is proud parents. Like, I like just seeing everybody smiling over the experience, everybody happy. I mean, that's like the best thing to come out of this, because it really was so much work and so much dedication and persistence. I mean, and just belief in what we were doing and belief in the script. Because originally I told everybody this was going to take 3.5 months, which is a long time to shoot a movie.
You lied.
Fucking lied. Right?
3.5 years, more like it.
It wound up taking 3 years from start to finish. But everybody just stood by my side. If I said, look, we have to come back, we have to reshoot this, I'm sorry, it's taking long, everybody came back. And none of this success could have happened. This was still a huge gamble, but it was just that I think everybody just really loved the story, and everybody got along so well. It was a really nice family environment. We all enjoyed what we were doing, even though it was very difficult at times. But I think that all shows, and that was all such a big part of why it's successful. It really, really was. I mean, but you guys were just so incredible. Seriously. Love
you all were. It's a huge part of why this film works, is that, again, the family unit that I was not expecting. It worked so well, and your performances were really great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We even look like family a little bit.
We do.
It works. It definitely works. Yeah.
You know, I guess another thing that I would be curious to know then too is, you know, where do you guys just in general go from here? More horror films, or just, you know, Sarah, like, did this kind of suddenly be like, okay, I want to do more horror, or just
You know, I'm gonna stay loyal to Terrifier 2 for the moment, because I don't know that anyone could ever top that. Where do I go from here? I'm actually flying out tomorrow to start work on a TV show, which is super exciting, and I start my own project in April. Yeah, so
that's amazing.
Yeah, so you know, the excitement and, you know, seeing all these guys work, and they were lovely to work with, got the wheels turning, and so here we go.
Yes, I love it.
That's
me,
yeah, where you go. I mean, again, I've seen your interviews, and I don't know how you were able to do all of that and remain calm, because like before everyone, I'm like either dry heaving, or I'm like, I gotta calm myself down, psych myself up, do a shot of tequila. I don't, you know.
I am exactly with you on that. I might look like I'm not nervous or containing myself, but really on the inside, I am very nervous and freaking out during those interviews. But with like acting and stuff, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm just gonna keep saying yes to auditions. I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna do this forever. This is my life. And also, music is another thing with me. I released an album, another EP just recently, and that's been doing really, really well. So I also want to continue doing that. So in between auditions, I'm going to be doing music, and in between music and auditions, I'm going to be doing interviews. So that's my
life. You have a big show in February.
Yes, horror conventions. I'm very my show, Mercury Lounge, New York.
Yes.
I am so excited, but I am telling you, I would probably be nervous, like you just said beforehand, but I'm ready. I'm ready to play shows. I'm ready to act. I'm ready to do auditions. My main goal in life is just to be a part of what's good, to spread joy, to spread positivity through arts, and wherever my next venture is, I will be having fun, making memories, making friends, and having a blast.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, amazing. Where do I go from here? Well, obviously Terrifier 3 is going to happen. It's just a question of when. We brought up so many questions, and we just started building this lore and this mythology, and there was just so many wonderful and terrifying places to take this story with Sienna, Jonathan, and Art. It's really going to be, I mean, where the next one goes is insane. It's insane. So I'm so excited for that. At the same time, because Terrifier 2 has been so successful, I've actually been contacted by some pretty big studios and production companies who are interested in seeing what I'm working on. They're interested in collaborating somehow. So we'll see. It could either be jumping right into Terrifier 3, or maybe my first studio picture might be a possibility before I go back to Terrifier 3. But we'll see, whatever makes the most sense. But regardless, Terrifier 3 is definitely going to happen.
That's amazing. And I think this, I mean, Terrifier, I love Terrifier, but I think this and just the budget and just how much you all were committed to, this is making everybody take notice. And that's what I really love to see, because you all put in so much work and effort to make this a success that it is.
For sure. Yeah, what I wanted to bring up, which makes this movie in particular a little unprecedented, because there's been so many, well, not so many, but there's been a handful of really low budget movies that went on to make, you know, astronomical amounts of money, like Paranormal Activity or the Blair Witch Project. You know, Paranormal Activity was made for $15,000, way less than our movie. But the difference is eventually a huge Hollywood studio comes in and picks up that movie before it goes out. And they put in a lot of money into Paranormal Activity. They tweaked it. They did things with the sound. They added special effects. And then they put a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign behind it, where the whole world knew it was coming out. I mean, it was on billboards and TV spots and commercials and everywhere, you name it, on the radio, you knew Paranormal Activity was coming out. That did not happen with Terrifier. There was no major studio to ever come in and tell people this movie's coming out. So it was just literally started with the core fan base that we've had this whole time, and then them going to the theaters, them spreading the word, and then people starting to react in our favor by passing out and puking. And then that was organic word of mouth. And that led to it making however many times it budget. I'm not good at math, but $10 million it's approaching.
Which is
it's
incredible.
Insane. And you're also talking, this is a super low budget movie that's not rated, which right there puts it in a different category, because typically every movie's rated when it plays in a mainstream movie theater chain. So you have this unrated slasher sequel based on this obscure first movie that's 2 hours and 18 minutes long. I mean, just those movies don't make this type of money. It's just a very, very rare, unprecedented situation. So that's something to be proud of. It really is. That's cool.
I mean,
we're of horror fans.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the horror community is large, but it feels like just a family. And I think that's great that you guys have the conventions coming up, because I think I can't wait just to also see all the cosplays, everything. And I hope to one day also meet Art as well. Just, yeah, because I mean, let me put it this way. I think one thing I do remember from the crowdfunding that I loved, and I was like, those lucky bastards, being killed on screen.
It's fun. People love it. They line up to get murdered on screen. Yeah, it's a thing.
I can't act, but yeah, you could just put some blood packs. I'll happily die on screen. No, but I think that was so cool. It was such a great moment, and I know they're gonna probably love that for the. I mean, I would cherish that, and that scene was really good.
It's so fun to be interactive with the audience, with the fans, because that's the way it's been the entire time. Like I said, it's just all been word of mouth. We're fans. Dave and I constantly go to these conventions, and now they're going to start going to all these conventions. So it's like Dave always says, it's a movie, you know, by the fans for the fans. It really is. We're all the same group of people. You know, I just happen to be a fan who likes making these movies. You know. So
I'm just happy you're making them. I think it's great. And I think the other thing is, I just think that's really awesome that you all will kind of be immortalized in terms of when going to conventions and all this, because people are going to be so stoked. But I really do feel like there's going to be a lot of mashed potatoes that are brought. Which I think is
mashed potatoes the same again.
I'm sorry, Sarah.
You know, the reality is they were really good. They were Phil's. You know, they also doubled as our craft services. So all the food you see in that film, we all had for lunch.
Yep.
The Halloween candy, the chicken, the mashed potatoes. It's very.
I love that. Oh,
very grassroots.
Well, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for taking time to speak with me. This means a ton. But also, I just really, again, can't say enough how much this film is just incredible. And I'm so happy to be at a time like this to get to see more horror, especially independent horror, thrive, because there's been so many great low budget releases that just are knocking people's socks off. So
Thank you,
just
man.
wanna say-
This was
Thank
a
you for your
pleasure. I've been watching your interviews with the other cast members, and they're so fun. You really create a wonderful environment. I could tell you're an amazing fan. So this was a pleasure, man. I was looking forward to this. It was
Oh
great.
no, thank you. Yeah, I would say don't like watch our normal podcast because we're very I mean, we're gutted, rotted, and you know, that's a whole nother issue. But I really do appreciate speaking with you. And again, same thing, Elliott. I love interviewing, so I think that's great. I hope you get to continue doing that because I think that's fabulous.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us. Thank you for your love, and thank you for just being a fan. I truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you.
No, I again, thank you as well, Sarah. This was
My pleasure. Thank you.
still Damien. I'm coming for you though because that broke my heart. Broke my damn heart.
Barb
Apologies.
forever.
Yep, and the mashed potatoes. I apologize. But I love you guys. This was a blast.
Yes.
Thank you all.
All
You
right,
all have a good rest of
everyone.
your day.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.